All right, let's talk about the mindset of, well, one of the most intense people on the entire planet, David Goggins. But we're not just going to talk about motivation. No, we're diving deep to understand how he actually wages war on his own limits.
So Goggins starts with this really raw idea. Think about it. When things get truly hard, when you're all alone with your own thoughts, your mind is the only weapon you've got. You can't just Google your way out of real suffering. It's just you and that thing in your head. And that leads to the biggest question in his whole philosophy. See, your brain has its own agenda. It wants to keep you safe, pull you back to what's comfortable. The real fight, according to Goggins, is grabbing the steering wheel and taking control back from it.
Okay, so let's break down this battle. Our brains are basically wired to find the easy way out, to avoid pain, save energy. But that exact instinct is the thing that's always pulling us away from the very things we need to do to grow.
And this is the first rule. You have to be the one giving the orders. You have to tell your brain, hey, this is where we're going, and no, comfort is not an option right now. Because if you don't, your brain will choose quitting every single time. The game's over before you even start.
So how do you actually start taking back that control? Well, Goggins' first tool is almost ridiculously simple. He calls it the go back again method, and it's all about smashing into that mental wall with just pure, stubborn repetition.
And this just captures that internal fight perfectly, doesn't it? On the left, that's your brain hitting the brakes. I can't. It's a dead end. But look at the right. Notice it's not some big pep talk. It's not try harder. It's just a simple, non-emotional command. Go back again.
And this isn't just mindless bashing. It's a real process. You start with failure, then you reset, you repeat, and you adapt. When reading wasn't working for him, he started writing it out, over and over. He just kept hitting the problem until his brain had no choice but to find a new way through. And that's how you finally get to, I got it.
And this quote, this is the turning point. This is the magic moment. When your mind finally understands that quitting is not an option, that you are just not going to stop, its whole survival instinct flips. It stops looking for a way out and starts looking for a way through. It's literally forced to adapt.
But this whole thing goes even deeper. It's not just about getting through tough times. Goggins says you have to totally rewire your brain to accept extreme difficulty as your new normal.
Just think about that. This isn't about just surviving a bad week at work. It's about telling your brain, this is home now. This is where we live. When that crisis state becomes your everyday normal, your brain just stops freaking out and starts to operate inside of it.
And he used this exact idea on himself during Navy SEAL training's Hell Week. He made a conscious choice that his new normal, his baseline, was just to be, well, completely broken. Listen to this stuff. Every day he's duct taping fractured feet, running on shin splints, just living in constant, grinding pain. By accepting that as his new reality, his mind stopped seeing it as a signal to quit. It just became Tuesday. He was broken, but he was still there. And that's where he found his power. So what's the whole point of all this pain? What's the payoff? It's finding out that what you thought was your 100% isn't even in the same universe as what you're actually capable of. The difference here is just, it's staggering. On the left, that's the life Goggins really believed was his absolute peak. That was his 100%. But on the other side of all that suffering was a completely different person. And you know what's crazy? He realized even that wasn't his final form. Not even close.
106 pounds. Just let that number sink in. That isn't just about losing weight. It is physical proof that the limits we tell ourselves are real are usually just stories we made up.
So here's the big takeaway. We just have no idea what we're made of. Most of us have never, ever pushed ourselves to that point where the brain is forced to change. We think we're trying hard, but our brain knows we're holding back and knows we're lying.
Which brings us to the final and maybe the most surprising part of this whole thing. The ultimate reward for embracing all this suffering isn't what you think. It's not fame, it's not money, it's peace.
We're all taught that you find peace by avoiding stress, right? By seeking comfort. Goggins says that's completely backward. He says real peace comes from holding yourself accountable for everything. For facing that person in the mirror you've been avoiding, yeah, that process is awful. It's suffering, but it's the only way there.
See, you don't find peace and then go do the hard stuff. It's the other way around. You do the hard things. You go through the fire. You find out who you actually are when everything is stripped away. And on the other side of all that, that's where the peace is. So the final question really isn't about David Goggins at all, it's about you. We all have that comfortable spot we don't want to leave. That life we've sort of accepted is our max potential. The real question is, where is that opposite end for you? And are you willing to go there to find out who you could be?